All right, folks, back. Believe this is video 8, and we're going to take a look at here. Let me just go ahead and tell you right now, I've been doing this a long time, okay? And once again, for those of you who are not familiar with me, take a look at my track record. Some of you will probably take about 5 years to go through my track record. I'm one of the top analysts in the world. I'm a former Wall Street guy, UBS, Bear Stearns, merchant banking, venture capital. I've advised multi-billion-dollar hedge funds, mutual funds, endowment plans, pension plans. That is a fact. Write it down. I have advised Fortune 100 corporate treasury departments. That is a fact. Write it down. I am the top expert on the 2008 financial crisis. I wrote 2 books which detailed the crisis, the accuracy. No one can come close to it. That's a fact. Write it down. And I backed this with money for a long time. Okay, that is, anybody out there who can prove there's someone who has a more accurate, detailed prediction of the financial crisis. It's quite simple. Back it with money. Let's go. Nobody wants to do that. So my point is that, folks, understand who you're listening to. It's very important, right? What I have to say is not going to be of the same quality as what some other person has to say, right? It depends upon the person's credentials, their achievements, their credibility. So with that, let me just go ahead and tell you. Now, I can tell you right now, I don't have to go through this kid's track record. I know he's fucking clueless. It's a joke. How do I know this? Because I've been doing this for a long time, okay? I know who's in the media. They're fucking contrarian indicators. They're contrarian indicators. Write it down. Whether it's Peter Schiff, Jim Rickards, Jim Rogers, or Harry Dent, Jim Cramer, David Stockman, Ron Paul, Porter Stansberry, the list goes on. I've documented the track records of all these fucking contrarian indicators for years. Nobody else has done this work. I've done it as a public service. I've sacrificed, in this endeavor alone, tens of millions of dollars in my endeavor to expose the gold pumping scene that I've been doing for 15 years. I have compromised probably hundreds of millions of dollars of what I could have earned. I don't give a shit. I can't be bought. So anyway, we're gonna listen to this video and see what we get here. And this is November 10th. So it's actually November 9th. November 9th. Keep that in mind. November 9th. Let's see what he has to say.
All right, so everyone's making their predictions for next year, including Goldman Sachs. And what's interesting about this, right? The 2024 forecast for returns, they're looking for everything to work out, right? Commodities up big, too. Stocks up big. Credit up. They're saying everything's going to be up. Bonds are going to be up. Even cash they're looking for it to be up. So, hey, and everything rallying. I'm okay with that. I want to bring in Adam Kobeissi, letter editor-in-chief Adam Kobeissi. Adam, listen.
Why are they having this fucking kid? You understand, folks? Once again, it's to create dumb money. And he loves it. He's getting all this. Oh, I've been on Fox. I'm an expert. Oh, I want to sign up for your yeah. You understand, folks? Fox, CNBC, all these media, they're fraud. They're promoting people who are not qualified. They're hyping them up. Once again, I'm banned. I was banned from day one. Not because anything I said or wrote, nothing that's not politically correct. They banned me because I'm a true expert that can help people. They don't want that. They want to promote scammers, broken clocks, idiots, contrarian indicators, so that you lose your ass, Wall Street takes your money, and Wall Street will pay more for the advertisements because now the audience is in desperate need of help. So Wall Street's going to advertise their services. Oh, well, you need help? Call us at Merrill Lynch. Call us at Chase. You understand, folks? And almost invariably, the people that they promote, the scammers they promote, they have something in common. They're of the same type of bloodline, by the way. Now, that's not racist. Actually, what they're doing is discriminating against me and people of my bloodline. They're discriminating against people. That's illegal. You understand? I'm pointing out what's the injustice. I'm being discriminated against. Other people are being discriminated against because we're not of the bloodline that runs the media. You understand? If you don't believe this, well, anybody want to go up against me on this bet? You want to make a bet? Put your money where your mouth is or shut up. Let me repeat. Put your money where your fucking mouth is or shut your fucking mouth. You have no credibility. If you're not willing to back what you say, you're not credible. Shut up. If you can't disprove what I'm saying, shut up. I've earned the benefit of the default of being anything I say is fact, is true. Why? Because I'm credible. I've got the credibility. I've earned that privilege. Now, fact except for opinions, okay? Fact except for opinions, okay? I call this guy a scammer. That's my opinion, okay? That's my opinion. But when we're talking about certain things, I can prove, right? I can prove. Now, this guy I can prove if I get discovery and I can take a look. You know, he doesn't want to send people the data. But I can prove based on public information, I can prove things that I claim, okay, about being discriminated against, about how the media works, about who runs the media, who runs the banks, so on and so forth. I can prove those. So those are facts that I'm willing to back by money. You all understand what I'm saying. This is all very important because it really explains what's going on out there, okay? But of course, there's many psyops that have been created, have been promoted, disseminated to cause you to not think about these issues. If you point to certain people, certain groups, they're going to call you a hater. Oh, you're a hater, that's hate speech. It shields the criminals is what it does. You understand? Anyway, let's listen to what this chump has to say, this child.
I know you've got some near-term ideas for us, but this is a little longer term. I know you're starting to formulate in your mind how 2024 is going to look. How's this looking for you? A little bit too optimistic for you?
I mean, the market has been very resilient, especially equities. I mean, they're calling for close to 10%, 12%.
Sounds like a high school kid. Very resilient. I mean,
Rally in 24. Could it happen? Yeah, I think in the first part of 24, we're going to keep seeing some choppy price action like we've seen. We've really been in a 10% range for the S&P for the last few months. And after such a hot run, now we're seeing more headlines, more volatility. I think, we could, well, I don't think we're going to have a huge downturn, but I also don't think we're going to have a huge bull run. So some more chop to begin.
So more choppiness.
Yeah.
That means more selectivity.
Absolutely, yeah.
One of the big themes, obviously, we can't get away from is the Magnificent Seven. An interesting observation. So far today, 35 new 52-week highs. Of all of these names, guess what they have in common? None of them are this Magnificent Seven.
Right.
So there are chances or ways of making money in this without having to be in those names per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we've been very vocal about the Magnificent Seven. They actually account for a record 30% of the S&P now. Can the market run without them? I don't really think so. Just as you saw in the last couple of weeks, once they started turning lower, Google missed on earnings. We saw Nvidia start turning lower. The whole market turned lower. The S&P went to 4,100. Now they're back. The S&P is back to 4,400. It's really hard to see a situation where stocks like these are going to lead the market in either direction.
You mean Pinterest can't lead the market?
I don't think it can. And also, it is a double-edged sword, right? Because when it's good, when the Magnificent Seven are good, it's great for the market.
We just had that conversation with Lisanne Saunders. In 2022, the Magnificent
Lisanne Saunders, another fucking clown. Another fucking clown. Oh, God.
Seven were down 41%.
Wow.
And of course, you have people who come on and say they remember when certain segments like oil used to be like 25% in the market. Now it's like 3% in the market. Let's get to some of your ideas because I love when you share these with us.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Trading ideas starting with the S&P. Short S&P right now.
Yeah, so we were long right into 4,100.
Yeah, sure you were. No, I don't care. This is like Jim Rogers. Oh, well, I was this. No. What are you doing today? You see that? He's short S&P.
We started scaling into longs. We got to 4,300. We started exiting, and now towards 4,400, we became short.
Okay,
the reason
you're
behind
short
that,
now,
more of a short-term trade. I think we were on track for 9 straight.
Okay, let's take a look now. I'm not going to pay. I mean, we spent too much time on this. I'm not going to take a look at any of the other garbage. Let's take a look at S&P. Today is the 10th. Is the 9th. This is actually the 9th. So this is the 9th when this broadcast. Let's take a look here. Okay, so here's a chart of the S&P. Now that was the 9th. It was late in the day. So we're going to go ahead and put the 10th here because this is how people that if they listen to this clown, what would happen? Well, take a look. He's short. You're talking about, hold on a second. Okay, I have to fix that. Let me see here. Fix the chart. Okay, I'm having trouble getting this chart in. So anyway, you can see the market popped the following day, the 10th. You can see a big rally. 2 days later, boom. And it looks like it's up. It was 4,400. Looks like it's up about 8.5% or so. Let's take a look. Yeah, 9.2%. 9.2%. This is the NASDAQ, 10.9% since the 10th of November. And today is December. It's market closed on the 22nd. This is the 23rd. So he's short, by the way. Oh, great trader. He's great track record. Wow, where's that performance, buddy? What a fucking clown. Let me just say something, folks. My research subscribers know. Now, Wall Street came out in mid-November about. Many Wall Street firms, Goldman Sachs just came out about a few days ago, in mid to late December, with their forecast, because Goldman Sachs was sticking at 4,700 for the S&P for the end of 2024. They realized they screwed it up because the S&P is already above that now. All the other firms, most of the other firms, except for Morgan Stanley, I think, were pretty much targeting for 2024 anywhere from 4,900 to 5,000 for the most part. Okay. Now, our research, this is a fact. In June of 2023, before all of Wall Street, many months before Wall Street, I came out with a call. Okay. And I said buy basically February. I think it's February. By February, I didn't say the month, I said the number of months. By February, we were looking at up to 4,800 in the S&P. Okay? Now, let me just go ahead and show you what happened, by the way. And actually what happened was, over the next 6 weeks or so, we got got a huge rally, right? Huge rally. Which I instructed people, you take profits if you're getting a huge rally. Nonetheless, if you didn't take profits or you didn't buy back here in June, it was effective, I think, June 9th, you didn't buy here, I said you have another chance. Buy on weakness. Buy on weakness. I'm reaffirming that forecast. You see it? Take a look here. This was months before Wall Street realized what was going on. Now, I'm not doing this to toot my horn. I don't need to do that. I've already set myself as one of the greatest investment analysts, at least in modern history. I think that's pretty obvious. I'm telling you this because I want you to put this into perspective of what you're hearing in the media. You're getting people, scam artists and clowns, and the media is promoting them, and they're making fortunes on deception, misinformation, and promotion when they shouldn't be being promoted. You understand? This is fraud. The media is doing this. So I want you to understand this. It's very dangerous, and this Kobeissi guy, I believe he's a scam artist. He's clearly clueless, and I want to see he will not deliver the specifics of how he came up with his performance. And you just go through all these videos and see for yourself. I mean, I don't know what he's going to disclose. We're going to go through more videos, by the way. But I'm going to stop this one now. We're going to continue. I guess it's going to be maybe video 8. I'm going to go through these videos faster.
There are two fundamental reforms that we need is to get adequate capital and two, to get far higher levels of enforcement of fraud statutes. Existing ones, I'm not even talking about new ones. Things were being done which were certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, which, I mean, fraud is a fact. Fraud creates very considerable instability in competitive markets. If you cannot trust your counterparties, it won't work. And indeed, we saw that it didn't.
So things went very well, and then the economy collapses. And so all of a sudden people are saying, well, it was Alan Greenspan's fault because he should have anticipated this. Did you think that was fair?
Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. One of the things I put in the second book I wrote was how the IMF missed it, the Federal Reserve missed it. You go down a whole series of the major forecasting.
Well, everybody got it wrong, let's say.
You can't have a crisis of that nature that is not a surprise. Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. One of the things I put in the second book I wrote was how the IMF missed it, the Federal Reserve missed it. You go down a whole series of the major forecasting.
Well, everybody got it wrong, let's say.
You can't have a crisis of that nature that is not a surprise. Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. There are two fundamental reforms that we need is to get adequate capital and two, to get far higher levels of enforcement of fraud statutes. Existing ones, I'm not even talking about new ones. Things were being done which were certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, which, I mean, fraud is a fact. Fraud creates very considerable instability in competitive markets. If you cannot trust your counterparties, it won't work. And indeed, we saw that it didn't. Certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, which, I mean, fraud is a fact. Fraud creates very considerable instability in competitive markets. If you cannot trust your counterparties, it won't work. And indeed, we saw that it didn't. Certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, which, I mean, fraud is a fact. Fraud creates very considerable instability in competitive markets. If you cannot trust your counterparties, it won't work. And indeed, we saw that it didn't. There are two fundamental reforms that we need is to get adequate capital and two, to get far higher levels of enforcement of fraud statutes. Existing ones, I'm not even talking about new ones. Things were being done which were certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, which, I mean, fraud is a fact. Fraud creates very considerable instability in competitive markets. If you cannot trust your counterparties, it won't work. And indeed, we saw that it didn't. Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. Things were being done which were certainly illegal and clearly criminal in certain cases, which nobody forecast the 2008 crisis. 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 Nobody forecast the 2008 crisis.